This is an awkward angle to shoot from, but it's kind of the best for the scenario and with the setup that I have. So I'm gonna try to work with it and see how this goes. Do you know what this is? It's my art. Functional art. I refer to it as functional art because you can use it, you can consume it. Something I've been thinking about lately is the display. How do I want the artwork displayed? As I mentioned, it is art. It is functional art. So you can actually use this. It's real. All the pieces, all the components that make up this piece can be consumed. And as I mentioned that, the fact that it can be consumed, in many ways, I imagine myself as a method actor where I get lost in the process of making the thing. You know, I set out to create a thing. I guess you can say this is my obsession because I've been working on a Cup of Infinite Possibilities for a few years now, and it's gone through different variations aesthetically and even mainly aesthetically. Originally it started off as bath bombs with chapters inside, that was the original concept. There's going to be a story on waterproof paper inside of the bath bomb. So every time you took a bath and threw in the bath bomb, you could sit down, relax, and enjoy a chapter from the story. And then the next time you go back, you get the next chapter. And I got tired of working with bath bombs and my hands aching from using the materials. Even when I wore gloves, I also got tired of just wearing the gloves. Anyway, so I moved on to, okay, well, what else would be an interesting scenario for relaxing and having a quiet moment with a chapter? And I thought of tea and coffee. I don't know if I thought of anything else, but that's what came to mind, and I just immediately jumped at it. So at some point, I may rethink how I go about putting the art piece together. And I think in some ways that's why I like the name A Cup of Infinite Possibilities, because there are so many possibilities for this concept in terms of how we go about executing it. As for me getting absorbed in the process of creating, as I mentioned, I have packaged this with tea and coffee, and so really good tea and coffee. And I love that aspect of it. And because I do tend to change the tea and coffee over time, it's just dependent on where I am or what's going on or what I'm interested in. And I feel like I have great taste, and if I like it, you should like it too. Or not necessarily should, but you probably will like it. And if you don't, then I don't mind consuming it myself because I love it. So there's no love lost, if that makes sense. Inside this one, we have an incredible cup of coffee. It's individually packaged. The packaging actually keeps the coffee fresh for a whole year. And it's fresh ground coffee. Not only that, it's fresh roasted and ground and then packaged at the best possible point in the process. Because I believe with coffee, when you roast the beans, it's not recommended that you grind them immediately after. So I think, this packaging is a really cool way of appreciating the nuances of, coffee culture in a way. Maybe that's calling the whole thing coffee culture might be oversimplifying it, or maybe it does need to be oversimplified if I'm being frank. Anyway, so in this, I was driving with a friend once and we were talking about A Cup of Infinite Possibilities, and I found a company to help me package the coffee into these individual packets. Let me find one and show you. So this is the current state of the packaging, and it keeps it fresh. And so this is drip coffee. At some point I will show you what that looks like when you open it and place it on the cup and pour water into it. But He was saying something about, like, this is my business. Like, coffee is my business, and I should more or less be an expert in it. And I don't think I need to be. I don't think I need to be. But I can understand wanting to know more about it and to educate myself and to be interested in it, because it is part of the art, part of the product, if you will. And as I'm creating something, I can get hyper fixated on each individual component. Sometimes, I get hung up on the thread or little details like this, for instance. We have this threading, this bunching that happens here. See this bunching? Normally, this would drive me crazy. It did drive me crazy for a really long time. And then after a while, I just learned to appreciate it, because that is pretty much a signature of my sewing machine. And I love that about the sewing machine. It's not my sewing machine. It was loaned to me by a friend I made on this island. And, and it's just such a heartwarming gift and gesture, to be given this lovely item that she herself wasn't using. And so it made her happy to know that it could go to use and to help me in that way. And so I like that there's memory of this particular machine and this particular moment and this person and all of it, all of that. I love the color of this thread. Yeah, I've fallen in love with the bunching. Something else, like this. What's on your mind? It looks very jumbled together. There's no punctuation. It's not right, but something about it just feels right, because this is a characteristic of the tool that I use to make it. This is just how it operates sometimes. It used to drive me crazy, but then I fell in love with it, because I'm like, that's just the nature of this particular label maker. And so I go with it. I'm not too hung up on the fact that there's no punctuation, it's not right, whatever. Even down to this. So I want to say, this was something a friend said, and I was like, I like that. I'm going to use that. And so I kept repeating it over and over in my head, because I didn't have a pen and paper handy at the moment. I was like, I'll remember this. So I believe this is what was said. And it says, if you have anything that you'd like to share, I'm here. And then I edited it. That's a weird word to say, edited. To say something on your mind that you'd like to share, I am here. And I don't like this. I don't like this. I prefer this. It feels much more conversational. And so where I am now is I want to rewrite this or edit it or make a new one. But I'm wondering, how do I edit this in real time and still have it look good? And what is good? Good is subjective. Like, the other thing I really like about the art piece, since we're referring to this primarily as an art piece, because at its core, that's what it is. It is a work of art, a piece of a story that I have told. I'm sharing this with you, and then the story gets lived on in another manner once you receive it, and you decide what you want to do with this or how this impacts whatever moment is carried out. So what I'm thinking is, I want to use this because I have it. It was literally sitting right here. I need to tidy up the studio. That's also how a lot of things end up getting created. I just use whatever is around me. And this bag I got, today's Wednesday. This bag I got on Saturday when I went to the perfumery, and she put a bottle of perfume in this bag for me. And I have been using it to package these notebooks / journals, whatever you want to call them. This one's blank, and this one here is not blank. So technically that counts as a journal according to Google, because it has words to guide you. It's an oversimplified way of expressing that. but that makes sense, doesn't it? How do I want to do this? All right, here we are. I added this to it, and I'm not sure how I feel about it, but that's what happened, and I'm okay with that. Each one that I make is slightly different than the last, and I think that's really cute and cool. They're each unique in their own way. The way it's stitched reflects what's happening in that moment. Sewing machines can be a little temperamental, and I tend to work on other projects. I have clothing that I'm sewing, and sometimes I forget to change out the thread, and that is often reflected in whatever happens as I'm making these. So I'm gonna record myself making more of these and telling the stories that represent the pieces. But this one I made the other day, and today I am going to make a couple others. This one is actually for someone, and I have a few more that are for other people. And I would really love to finish that and give them to their respective owners, if you will. So have I said everything I wanted to say about this? I don't know. Yesterday I recorded, and I think I did it in a few different takes, and I don't know if I'm gonna go back and use any of that because the camera overheated, so I wasn't recording, and I was like, oh, let me just do a voiceover and then I'll add it to some imagery. And I was like, when am I gonna record such imagery? And yeah, so then I sat down today and I'm like, let's just do this in one take. And we are now on to the second video because my camera only records in 15-minute increments, which is fine, you know. Parameters, limitations, if you will, is also part of the creative process I'm finding, or at least it's something I've been embracing as of late. Hence why, you know, well, I think I very much used to be more of a perfectionist, wanting things to turn out exactly how I envision them. And now it's more, I would say now, I think, well, yeah, okay, how do I say this? Before, a lot of my creative process was using whatever materials I had around me and just saying, oh, if I manipulate something in this way, what happens? And then I get inspired by a color or a texture or whatever's happening around me. And then I make something, and then once the thing is made, or as it's becoming, I start thinking, oh, how can this apply? What would this be used for? And I think that's also where the thinking comes in, because the design of the things that I craft is often a product, you know. And what's interesting about products is, and maybe I shouldn't generalize this, so just know that if I'm speaking in a way that sounds like a generalization, I'm mainly referring to myself. But when we think of products, and there we go, we just go with it. When we think of products, you know, oftentimes it's based on things that already exist on the market or in our lives around us. For instance, a cup. You know, you see this, and this is characterized as a cup. But this could just as easily be a pot. You know, it does the same thing. It's a container, a vessel that you put something in. Although I might not want to use this as a pot, because if I probably wouldn't want to use this on the stove. You know, it might crack. So it's not the best vessel for a pot. So maybe that's why we're using it as a cup, because it makes more sense. Anyway, I don't want to go into that too deep, but you get what I'm saying, right? I often think what's interesting about products, or something that resembles another item we're familiar with, like a clock. We see a clock, we see the hands on a clock, and it's on the wall, and we're like, oh, that's a clock. But just because it looks like a clock and functions as a clock doesn't mean it's just a clock. It could also have a camera in there, or a microphone, or it could be any number of things. So the idea behind, or the notion of a product, you know, the physical manifestation of a product, doesn't even make sense. I'm just using words at this point. And I don't know if I am striking the point, but that's kind of the essence behind the things that I make. My art is reflective of products, things that we buy, things that we use. And so while I do see this as art, it is a creation, it is a story, an act, a hobby, a craft, ingenuity, you know, like it's fascinating to know that this started off as literally a sheet of paper, you know, just sheets of paper and you know, some ground coffee. I mean, more than just some ground coffee, but essentially there is ground coffee in here, you know, a convergence of different imaginations and people and elements. I love that all it took was a few sheets of paper and suddenly we have an experience. And so yeah, I want to give people an experience, and I think this is an experience. So something I've been thinking about lately is, what if, you know, this was like imagined as a portable gallery. You know, I shipped this art piece to you and you get to have your own private moment. So you can do whatever you want with this art. You can open it, you can use it, you can give it to someone else, you can add a message on the back, or you can add to it. I'm curious to see how this will unfold and what others will do with it, and perhaps even say about it. There are things that I want to say, and then at the same time I don't want to say, because I want you to form your own opinion, your own idea, and just discover it, which also makes me a little nervous because, you know, criticism. Anyway, have I said enough about this? I don't know. I'm just gonna record this, edit it, and publish it, and then whatever else I need to say will get added to other videos, because I am recording the process of me creating art and experiencing the creation of art and sharing that. So there you have it. And the other thing I've been thinking about lately, well, yeah, I've been thinking about a lot of things lately, honestly, and not all of it is conveyed in this video, but hopefully over time, most of it will. So another thing I had been thinking about was a Cup of Infinite Possibilities being a subscription coffee thing. What do you call that? Service? Product? But imagine you get a cup of coffee, and let's say the coffee inside, it changes. It's based on, you know, where I am in life at that moment, what I've discovered. I'm always trying different coffees in different places, and there are so many different varieties. Anyway, coffee. You get to experience a little bit of what I am experiencing, what I am exploring. But you also get these journals or notebooks. And so you can, which is at the moment, which is why it says this, if you have anything you'd like to share, I am here. You know, you have a cozy, warm, comforting cup of coffee and these journals. Some of them have prompts, some of them are blank, but it's just this little introspective moment to take with you. I also really love these journals because they're small. I just think they're perfect for the week or the month. And you're like a big journal, you're bringing your whole life with you everywhere you go. It's just unnecessary. But this, it's great. It can fit in your pocket. It's slim. I also love that it's expandable with these accordion pages. So you have a lot of room. It can hold a lot. There's an ant somewhere on here. You see the ant? They're just passing through. They do that sometimes. It's rather annoying if I say so myself. Go away, get off. So I really love the layout. Did I just see another ant? I'm seeing things through this lens. Actually, is my lens dirty? Is that a speck? What is that? Do you see that? It's right here. I don't know if that's on camera or anyway, we'll deal with that later. I think there's something incredible about the layout of a medium you use. It can change the way you think, the way you express yourself, and what's possible. It's almost like you get so used to the regular format that once you are given something else, suddenly your mind expands and you are able to think outside the box or employ a new layer of creativity. And some people appreciate that and others do not. They're just like, no, don't change anything. Don't make me think about this. So anyway, I love this. I have great taste. I think you'll love it. And if you have bad taste, I think you'll also love it. And if you don't, that's cool too. But give it to someone else. They will definitely love this. So yeah. So what I think is really interesting about these art pieces is that they're not all the same. The packaging, the vibe, everything is really just dependent on what's happening in the moment. And I think that's really cool because there's a bit of history and meaning behind everything, you know, between these biodegradable papers that I get from the supermarket or, you know, some materials I just don't have access to. And maybe it's because supposedly we're at war, or maybe it's something else because I'm on an island. I have no idea. I mean, in that moment, who knows? But all of that is reflective in this. And I think that also adds a bit to the conversation. And A Cup of Infinite Possibilities, I love that there are just so many sides to the story. There's me as the artist. There's the viewer who participates in this. It's the collaborators that help bring this to life with whatever idea I have, or sometimes I'm just, you know, something is sparked by another person's vision. So, and that's reflected in this piece. It's an evolving piece, and I think if you want to play around with this, you should, and more than once. Anyway, that's all I have to say about this for now. I have recorded long enough. I'm gonna go do something else. It's time to wash Liam's hair and get this day started. I hope you're having a great day. I'm already having a fabulous day. And yeah, I'll see you again.